This video is about solving applications. You'll be solving word problems with geometry and consecutive integer type problems. And you'll start out with a word problem which you'll read over, and you'll want to create a variable and then an equation using that variable. Now you want to notice that sometimes you could solve the problem without using algebra, without using an equation. And that can be helpful to help check that your answer makes sense. However, you are required to use an equation, then you need an algebraic solution. So here is our first problem. Take a look. We want to see what are we going to look at closely here. Of course, these are about different angles, but what you really want to notice is that it's based on the smallest angle. Do you see that the information on the other angles are based on that smallest angle? So from that, that's how we know how to set up our variable. We're going to let x equal that smallest angle. We want to set up our items in terms of our variable. Remember, we said let x equal the smallest angle. Now let's see what else we have. We are also told that there's an angle which is 5 times larger than the smallest angle. So using that, we'll set up 5x is equal to the second angle. For the next item, we see that it says that there's another angle which is 4 more than twice of the smallest angle. Remember, of course, x is our smallest angle. So 4 more than twice the smallest angle. Think about how you want to write that down. And here it is. This is 4 more than twice our smallest angle. So there's our setup of all of our items in terms of our variable. And what do we need to do next? We need to create the equation. Now, in order to create the equation, there is a geometry fact that we need. Since these angles are going to add up to 180 degrees, we'll take the first angle and we're going to add in the second angle, add in the third angle, and all of that has to equal 180 degrees. So you can see again, this is our first angle, here is our second angle, and there is our third angle. And altogether that adds up to 180 degrees. That's the equation we're going to use in order to solve this problem. Here's our equation. We need to combine our like terms. Here we go. In order to solve the equation, these all add up to, let's see, that's 1 plus 5 is 6 plus 2 is 8. So we have 8x plus 4 is 180 degrees, or is 180. I'm just going to call the number right here. I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. That's going to give me 8x equals 176. Next, I want to divide both sides by 8. This is going to allow me to solve for x, or get x by itself, as we might say. And from here, we get x equals, that's 176 divided by 8, which is 22. And there we go, we have solved for x. So with our solution for x, what's next? What's next? This is the point where you really want to go back and take a look at our original setup to see what's going on here. We know that x is 22, and here it shows you, oh yes, x was the smallest angle. And in fact, we have all of our angles, and we want to fill these all in. So we now know that our smallest angle is 22. And for the second angle, it's 5 times x. So in this case, that's going to be 5 times 22. And we'll calculate that out to see that the second angle is 110 degrees. And our third angle, remember, that was 4 more than twice the smaller angle. We're just going to multiply 2 times 22 and add 4. 2 times 22, of course, is 44. And when I add 4, that gives me 48. So I have now solved for each one of my items, the first, second, and third angle. Let's recap what we did to solve this problem. We're not quite finished, but first we set up each of the items in terms of a variable. We came up with our equation and solved the equation. We figured out what that gave us. There's another very important step which sometimes students forget, and that is to answer the question that was asked. And we have to go back and see what was the question that was asked. You got to look back and say, okay, here it is. It was find the measure of the largest angle. Notice they didn't ask for all of the angles, which we found, but we now need the largest angle. So take a look at the three angles. The largest angle is 110 degrees, and that's going to give us our answer. You want to write your answer as a sentence here. Here it comes. The largest angle is 110 degrees, and we have solved our word problem.